Shifting our focus now to the Ukraine war, you might already know about the New Year's Day missile attack. 63 Russian personnel were reported dead in Donetsk's Makiivka region. The death toll has now increased to 89. Let me be frank. It is extremely rare of Russia to own up to such casualties. But there's a catch. The Russian Defense Ministry has blamed the attack on mobile phones, not on the Ukrainian military or Russian commanders, but on its own soldiers and, of course, the illegal use of mobile phones. Let me give you some background. A vocational college in Donetsk region was packed with conscripts. These were among the 300,000 men whom President Putin had called up in partial mobilization. Not trained soldiers, but common Russian residents. On the 1st of January, Ukraine fired 6 US-made HIMARS rockets at the building. 2 were shot down by Russian air defense forces, but the other 4 caused massive damage. At least 89 Russian personnel were killed, but this number is expected to increase further. These were just the soldiers who were immediately identified in the rubble. The list of those who went missing runs long. Ukraine claims that 400 were killed in the strike and another 300 were wounded. But some say that the estimates are exaggerated. The Russian Defense Ministry has tried to smear the blame. It says that the servicemen were killed due to illegal mass use of mobile phones. The ministry has launched an official investigation, but it is asserting that the use of banned phones allowed the enemy to locate its target. Listen in now to the official statement.
At the present time, a commission is working to investigate the circumstances of the incident, but it is already obvious that the main reason for what happened was the switching on and mass use by personnel, contrary to the ban in place, of mobile phones in a strike zone accessible to enemy weapons. This factor allowed the enemy to track and determine the coordinates of the soldiers' location for a missile strike.
Let me repeat that. It is already obvious that the main reason for the attack were mobile phones. There may be some truth to that. There's no denying it. Satellites have played a huge role, a key role, since the beginning of this war. Ukraine, for one, has used them to track Russian warships. In fact, Elon Musk sent thousands of Starlink internet kits to Ukraine, giving them access to SpaceX's constellation of satellites in orbit. But isn't it a little too convenient for Russia to blame the whole attack on illegal use of mobile phones? Commentators are finding the mobile story a little unconvincing. First of all, Ukraine could have detected the location of the soldiers using its own drones and intelligence. That is very much possible. But Russian Defense Ministry is almost certain that mobile phones are the obvious culprit. So does this mean that Russia is undermining Ukraine's intelligence yet again? Is it too proud to admit its own shortcomings? Or is it simply washing off its hands after putting the personnel in a vulnerable position? You see, it is extremely difficult for such a large troop to hide out in a frontline city. They are either discovered by drones or they surrender in the face of an offensive. Ukraine's recapture of Izium is a striking example. Remember, the city was a strategic point in southeast Ukraine. It was positioned along transportation routes that had been key to Russian movements. But the Ukrainian counter-offensive in the region forced Russia to surrender a wide swathe of territory. The territory which it had spent months and many lives capturing. Russian soldiers fled, leaving behind hordes of war equipment in working condition. So what were the Russian commanders thinking in Donetsk? Why did they station all the conscripts at one place? And why isn't the Defense Ministry blaming them? Some Russian commentators and politicians are accusing the military of incompetence. They say the troops should have never been given such vulnerable accommodation. Some have even called it a criminal negligence. The deputy speaker of Moscow's local parliament says it was predictable that the soldiers would be blamed rather than the commander who made the decision to put so many of them in one place to begin with. Even in the 11th month of the war, it seems Russia has not learnt its lessons. It continues to put its troops in vulnerable situations. Situations that could have been avoided. And then blaming the soldiers for whatever happens. Or in this case, naming a new villain in the war. The one in your hands right now, perhaps. You see, technology has become both a problem and a solution on the battlefield. It has become a matter of life and death. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.